So, I just wanted to talk about the Occupation Wall Street thing. They released a couple of different articles about how the people don't understand why there's occupation of Wall Street and what they're there protesting, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I think a lot of people are angry about what's going on, and a lot of them don't know why they're or what the problem is. They're just angry about it, and that's perfectly good reason to protest. I say protest for any reason you damn well feel like. It's your right to protest in this country. We should be protesting every day about something. Um, Now, on the whole Wall Street thing, the part of the reason why it's hard to get a clear definition of why people are protesting, it's because there's a lot of different reasons why people are protesting. A good number of people are out there protesting against the banks because they've basically been bailed out by the American people, and then they're not showing any respect in return, allowing for loans that small businesses need and other things. That's one reason. Now, when I think about protesting Wall Street, and I'm not down there protesting, just to be clear, I'm in Florida, so I couldn't possibly go to New York and protest. But if I could, I would. I'd be right there with them if I was in the New York area. Um, the reason, or I should say, just to kind of get a better understanding about Wall Street and a reason why I would protest. Now, I understand as somebody who studies business and economy and other things that Wall Street provides a very important function, and that function is to for publicly traded companies to allow for investments to be made in different companies so that they can continue with their business. This is important. This is a very important part of the American economy. You have to understand that when we trade stocks, what it is somebody has made an initial investment in the company, whatever company, WWE or IBM or whatever company you want to think of. And the idea is that they've made this initial investment, but at some point, those investors wanted to get out of the company, which is understandable. Anybody who makes an investment wants, at some point to be finished with it, because these companies can go on long beyond the lifespan of an individual person. And so, in order for somebody to be able to get their investment back, they have to take that investment and sell it to other people. Now, stocks is a way for people to be able to break down those investments into sellable chunks. And so instead of having to sell your entire investment over to one person, you can take your investment and sell it out to 20 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, however it is you want to do it, depending on how the stock breaks down and how much stock is in the company. That is very important. We need to have that in our current economic climate in order to, do business. Now, I understand there's a lot of people out there, RBE people, who don't want to see money at all or any kind of investment or capitalism at all. And that's great, but that's not the world we live in right now. So we need some sort of investment into or some way to handle these investments in companies that exist and that are part of our economy right now. Now, what I personally have a problem with Wall Street is the way that we've basically opened up the books to everybody. Anybody who wants to can go to Wall Street, buy and trade stock, and play around with the market, so to speak. But where the problem really lies, I mean, that's the root of the problem, is that anybody can go and be a Wall Street trader, which I think is fair, being that we're a free society in America and we can do whatever we want. But the reason why we're getting into so much trouble is because we have these firms, these investment firms, that buy and sell stock, and when they do, they're basically doing it with other people's money. They're not doing it with their own money. They're doing it with other people's money, such as hedge funds and 401ks and all these other fund programs, and even the government itself has a ton of investment companies that have funds that are for all sorts of things, everything from everything from what do you call it, the retirement packages. I can't think of the name right now, but those things, and then also just like basic crazy embezzlement funds that are basically the government uses to secretly stockpile money, and if you do some digging you can find out more about those. But see, the problem lies in is we have these companies out there, these investment companies that are basically they're taking this money that isn't theirs, investing it however they see fit, whether it's smart or wise or a good investment or not. And when it goes kerbust, then there's no accountability. There's absolutely zero accountability for them. They haven't lost any money. They're still collecting a paycheck. They're still going to get their bonus at the end of the year. And so why should they care? Why should they care what happens to other people's money? They have no incentive at all to do their jobs properly. And this is the problem that we're having in Wall Street, okay, right now, is we've got this zero accountability problem. And if they screw up, then what happens? We've set this precedent that the government can just wave a magic wand, take a bunch of money from the people, and and keep them afloat. There's not only is there zero accountability, but they're being rewarded for their problems, for the problems that they cause. And basically what it boils down to is we have these people who are basically gambling, and that's straight up what it is. They're not, making wise business investment choices. They're just simply gambling with the American economy. And, if you keep spinning on that roulette wheel, eventually you're going to lose it all. That's just how it works. And this is a major problem. We can't have it going on anymore, and there needs to start being accountability. Now, I don't think we're ever going to actually see that accountability come from Wall Street. So protesting on Wall Street, you're not really affecting the people that can make the decisions. What you're doing is you're affecting the people who are causing the problem, but they don't care. They're not going to do anything to stop. You can protest all day long, and they're not going to do anything to stop. But I think protesting on Wall Street is a good idea because it's bringing attention to the problem that you would not receive from Washington. If you were, say, protesting in Washington, well, people protest in Washington all the time. Nobody cares. It's no big deal. Nobody will pay attention to it. But being in New York and being at the heart of the problem, and being where people interact on a daily basis, I think that's going to bring a lot more attention to the problem, which is why I think the Occupation Wall Street is a good idea. Now, like I said in one of my previous documents on the Caution Tinfoil Hat area, if you go to that group and read, you can learn about what I call the quit factor. And the quit factor is basically, to put it in a nutshell, is who's going to quit first, the protesters or the people being protested, whether that be Wall Street, banks, the government, whoever, who's going to go home first. Is it going to be the bankers who are going to say, oh yes, I've come to the realization that what I've been doing is wrong all my life, and I can't do this, I can't be a banker anymore, and I'm not going to go to work and make tons of money anymore? Or are the protesters who are out in the streets camping, with not earning income, uh, dwindling sources of food, police brutality, all sorts of other things going on to them? Are they going to go home first? Now that's the quit factor. One of the two groups is going to quit first. And I would love to see it be the banks, but who knows? Maybe it'll be the protesters. We've seen in the past that most of the time it's the protesters who end up quitting first, and I hope that's not the case in this. But I'm going to leave you with one thing that you can do to help the protesters out if you cannot be in New York, is you can go to Whitehouse.gov, and at Whitehouse.gov they have a petition section, and just do a search on Whitehouse.gov for petitions, and there is a petition right now for Obama to recognize the Occupation Wall Street protests. And so if you go there and sign your name, they need to have 5,000 signatures before October 22nd, which, that's bureaucracy. It's slow. That means that, at the very minimum, in order to be recognized, that the protesters have to stay on Wall Street until October 22nd, before the White House has to make a decision whether or not to recognize the people on Wall Street. But go to Whitehouse.gov and sign the petition for Obama to recognize the Occupation Wall Street protesters. And that's one thing that you can do to help out if you're not there. And I know it seems like October 22nd, that's a long time, but that's how protest works. Look at the Montgomery bus boycotts. That took over a year. Over a year they were protesting the Rosa Parks incident. And it took over a year before they saw any change. And they didn't give up. Not one day, not one person. And that's what it takes in order for a protest to be successful. So now maybe, hopefully, this video is giving you some insight and understanding into the problems and the solutions. So thank you for listening. This is King for Mayor. Check out my website, iLibertarian.tk. Thank you.